Hello everybody and welcome to this yoga class, and the aim of this session is to center and ground. It's going to be a very gentle session. As always, please take care when you're practicing yoga. If something feels uncomfortable or there's a sense of pain or discomfort, please stop what you're doing. I will always endeavor to give you options with the more difficult poses. But as I said, the most important thing is that you stay safe, and I hope you enjoy it. We're going to start off on our backs. So lying down, I'll just adjust the screen so that you can see. We're going to start lying down, finding a comfortable position. You can have your knees bent with the soles of your feet on the ground, or you can extend your legs out long if that feels good in your lower back. You can always use a very light pillow under your head if that feels better. But making sure that the chin and the forehead are roughly level. So I start all of my sessions, whether it's lying down or seated or standing, just by taking a few minutes to come into land and to try and really empty out and forget about what's happened before the practice or what's due to happen later in the evening. So it's just taking a couple of moments really to come into your body. So this is a process of embodiment, coming into your body. And when we're busy and when we're distracted, quite often we're ignoring signals from our body about how it feels and what it needs. So spending time paying attention to what's going on is very beneficial for us. So we're going to pay attention first to the breath. And we're going to be paying attention just to each and every in-breath and out-breath. So remembering that there's no right or wrong way to breathe. However you're breathing, you're just paying attention and developing a sense of curiosity about each breath. So whether the breath is long or whether it's short, whether it's shallow or deep, whether it's smooth or more ragged. So again, just noticing what you notice. You may begin to feel the parts of the body that are impacted or that move when we breathe. So maybe when you breathe in, you'll notice a sense of gentle expansion or openness. And when you breathe out, a sense of release or letting go. So just taking a couple of breaths now and noticing the rhythm of the breath in your body. So when you breathe in, noticing where in the body there might be a sense of opening or expansion. Paying attention not just to the front of the body, but also the sides of the body, back of the body. And the same thing with the exhalation. This time noticing where in the body there's a sense of letting go or release as we breathe out. Really just following the breath and getting curious about the breath. Then we bring our attention to the body as it's lying on the ground, noticing how it feels. So are there areas of tightness, gripping or holding? So maybe around the shoulders or the hips. Maybe the tummy area feels contracted and tight. The jaw area in the face, the area around the eyes, quite often tend to clench a little, or clenching in the jaw and tightness around the eyes. So just bringing your attention to these areas. And perhaps if you can, just softening and adjusting. And equally, there may be areas in the body that feel open and spacious. And noting these as well. Just noticing now the air on your skin, any exposed skin. The clothes on your body, how they feel. The ground beneath you. And noticing how much you can maybe release into the ground. So quite often when we first lie down, there's a lot of muscular tension. So just observing where we can release, where we can let go. And allow the ground to support us. So we're working with gravity here instead of against gravity. Almost as if the ground is exerting this magnetic force, very gently absorbing any tiredness or tension in the body, in the limbs. We're making friends with the ground. So fully releasing into the ground. And before we begin our gentle movement, just maybe bringing to mind what your intention for your practice is today. It's quite useful to work with intentions. So for me, I've set this class up with the intention to help you center and to ground yourselves. Perhaps you have a different intention that you want to focus on. So maybe calming the nervous system, feeling a sense of spaciousness in the body, in the mind, releasing tension, creating stillness, slowing down, focusing on your breath, or just creating a little pause for yourself. Taking care, self-care, prioritizing your needs now. So just bringing whatever is important to you, to your mind. And maybe it's letting go of something that's been bothering you or causing you anxiety or worry. Something outside your control. So maybe just letting go, even if it's just for now. And then we're going to extend the legs long if they're not already extended. And we're going to take our arms overhead. So we can keep the elbows soft here. So we're working at being soft in our joints. So the elbows can be bent, or we can extend them away from each other, the arms away from each other, or rather close to the head. It's completely up to you. So you're going to inhale here and just point your toes away from you and stretch through your fingers as you inhale and extend. And we can just softly release on the exhale. So taking care not to flare your ribs when we're inhaling. So we just want to lengthen the spine and lengthen the sides of the body. So we'll try that 3 more times. So Inhaling, pointing through the feet, stretching through the fingers. Exhaling, release. Another breath in, stretching and opening and elongating. And then another breath out. Breathing in, stretching, opening, elongating, and then releasing out. And then we're going to do the same thing again, but this time we're going to bring the feet to flat as if they're against a wall. And we're going to inhale this time and extend through the heels, and then soften and release as we breathe out. Inhaling, extending through the heels, waking up the back of the body. Exhale to soften and release. Last one, breathing in, extending through your heels and the whole back of your body, and then softening and releasing. Lovely. So keeping your hips and your pelvis neutral and level and where they are, we're going to take both feet over to your left-hand side, and we're going to take both arms over to the left-hand side as well. So your hips stay where they are, and we're creating a banana shape this time. So you might begin to feel it already. There's a sense of opening through the right side of the body as we stretch toward the left-hand side. So we're going to take a breath in here, and then out. Another breath in, and softly out, coming back to center. And then we'll do the same thing on the other side. And bearing in mind that one side might be more difficult for you than the other. So just taking care. So this time moving the legs over to the right-hand side and the arms over to the right-hand side. And we're creating the length along the left-hand side of the body. So inhaling, stretching and opening. And exhaling, releasing and letting go. Inhaling, opening, left-hand side of the body. And exhaling and letting go. We make our way back to center now. And we bring our arms back by our sides. And we bend our knees, bringing soles of the feet to the ground. Good. Making any adjustments we need to come back into what it means to be centered. Okay. And then we're going to pick our knees up and place our hands with our fingers pointing toward the toes on our knees. And we're going to gently begin to circle the ankles. So the reason I've asked you to place your hands on your knees, if you can, and of course you might want to keep your legs a little lower, is that we want to keep the knees stable. Okay, so we want stability in the knee joints because we really want to get the ankle joints working. So whatever direction you started in, just start working in the opposite direction. And then if you like, you can move the hands and begin to do the same things with the hands. So we're this time moving into the wrists, trying to keep the elbows stable here. And changing directions. So this is really good to get the fluid moving in the joint sockets. And it's really healthy for our joints to be hydrated. Okay, and to move in different directions. So this is really good to mobilize them and slowly releasing. And of course, you can do this when you're sitting down on a chair, on the sofa, or even if you're standing, just lifting one leg at a time and raising your arms. So it's good to get into the habit of doing something like this. Lovely. We're just going to take the head from side to side, just to get a little movement into the neck, waking up the joints one by one. And of course, you might be holding a lot of tension in the shoulders. So if you are, then taking very small micro movements, or they can be a bit larger. Again, working in a way that suits you, that's best for you. And then coming back to center again. And we're going to lift the knees up again, place the hands on the knees, and then we're going to divide the knees out to either side. So your knees have right knee to the right side, left to the left, and your arms are straight. So elbows are straight and your hands are on your knees, fingers pointing towards your toes. And then we're going to inhale as we draw the knees toward our chest, bending the elbows, straighten the arms as they move, the knees move through center, and we take them away. So we're creating large circles as we move out to the side, back into center, and taking them away. So here we're working into the hip joints and getting this mobilizing rotational action into the hip joints here. So moving slowly as we oil and open these joints. And coming back to center here. And then we bring the knees back toward the chest, away from us to either side. And slowly creating circles, bringing them back to center and away. So moving the knees around in circles, slowly moving into the joints. Again, coming back to center and allowing the feet to come all the way back down. So from here, we're going to lift the right ankle and just place it over the left knee. So the right ankle over the left knee, and we can leave it here. We can push the knee away from us with the right hand, creating a little space in the right hip joint. So we can stay here, or we can lift the left leg up and clasp behind the thigh of the left leg. Okay, so you needn't clasp, even if you want to lift it a little, you can see what's right for you. Okay. And different days are different for everybody. So even if it doesn't work the first time you try it, it might work the second. And vice versa. So bringing both feet back to the ground. And again, centralizing again so that your hips and pelvis are back in neutral. And we'll do the same thing on the other side. Again, getting curious about how it feels on this side. So your left ankle comes over your right knee. And you may want to just gently ease the left knee away from the body, creating space in the left hip joint. And again, you might want to lift up the right leg, maybe, see how that feels, or you can clasp behind the right thigh. Okay, so lots of different options to kind of experiment with and play around with. So replacing now the left foot onto the ground. Pausing here for a minute. And then we're just going to create a little further opening in the hips. So we're going to take the knees wide apart. And so the hands can come inside the knees. So we can just lie here for a moment or two and enjoy that sense of stretch and opening. That might be enough. Or we can hold the shins. Or we can clasp the outside of the feet, outside edges of the feet, and come all the way up with, with the soles of the feet facing the ceiling. Okay, so again, so that's one option. The other option is to take the arms again. They should be inside holding the shins or just inside the knees. And wherever you are, just taking a gentle rock from side to side. So this is nice for the lower back as well as opening the inner groins and the hip joint. And coming back to center here. And we'll just replace the feet back on the ground. And allowing the breath to come back to normal. And with the knees bent, we're going to have the soles of the feet on the ground and the ankles under the knees, and the arms can be beside your torso. The chest is open, the collarbones are wide, the shoulders are released down your back. So you might want to make a few micro adjustments to have this sense of openness in the front of the body, with the shoulders releasing down the back a little. So we can inhale here, and we're just going to gently lift our hips off the ground and raising our hips toward the ceiling. Okay. So making sure that our knees aren't splaying out too much. So we want to have a sense of our knees being over the ankles, and then we'll just slowly come all the way back down again. Okay, so we're going to practice that again. Watch points to look out for is to make sure when you lift, not to splay the knees out too far. Okay, so it's better to lift up to a lower point and have that integrity in the knees rather than lifting up very high. Okay, so sometimes less is more. And we're going to work on the inhale this time. So we're going to inhale and lift. Okay, making sure your buttocks and your glute muscles are soft. And exhale and lower down vertebra by vertebra, almost like coming down the steps of the stairs. Okay, so we're going to do that again, but I'm going to add something else with the arms. I'm going to offer you the option to take the arms overhead as we inhale and then bring them back down as we exhale. Okay, but again, it's just an option. You don't have to do it if it doesn't feel good for you today. So we're just going to inhale, lift the hips, lift the arms, and just take them to wherever works best for you. And then we exhale. Bring the arms back down to your sides and the hips back down to the ground. So your back is on the ground. So we'll just do 2 more like that, moving any way that works best for you, with or without the arms, lifting high or lifting low. So inhaling, lifting. And exhaling, releasing and letting go. Enjoying that feeling of coming home to the earth, coming home to the ground. Inhaling, lifting. And exhaling, releasing and coming all the way back down. Lovely. So from here, just going to roll over onto one side and making your way slowly into an all fours position. So the thing to make sure on all fours is that the ankles, or sorry, not the ankles, the wrists are under the shoulders. The wrists are under the shoulders and the knees are under the hips. Now, if you have sore knees, you can always roll your mat up like this to create a little bit more padding. Or you can place a thin blanket under your knees. Okay, so coming into our all fours position again, and we're just going to come into a pose called, well, it's 2 poses actually, cat-cow, and it's very mobilizing for the spine. So we're going to inhale, and as we inhale, we're going to allow the tummy to drop toward the mat. We're going to send our hips up and our shoulders up and maybe gaze up. And then as we exhale, we're going to bring our chin close to the chest and we're going to curl our spine into a C shape. And you come to gazing between the knees. So we inhale here and allow the spine to drop toward the mat, sending our hips up, shoulders up, gaze up, opening through the chest, feeling that long length of the spine, and exhaling. You can exhale through the mouth if you like. So you're just going to bring the chin close to the chest as you curl the spine like a Halloween cat. One more like this. Inhaling, allowing the tummy to drop toward the mat, looking up. Hips lift, shoulders lift, chest lifts, and exhaling. As we curl into our cat pose. And then coming back to center, back to our neutral all fours. And then we're just going to gently allow our hips to come into some circles. So taking circles in one direction. They can be small or they can be quite large. So just enjoying the freedom of the body to move whatever way it likes. So this is quite essential for the body to move in these kind of spiral type shapes. And it's very good for our joints. Good. So just moving in like any kind of way that feels good for you. And that's the nice thing about practicing on your own. Sometimes you don't feel as if people are watching you or judging you. You just have this wonderful sense of freedom. So coming back to center. And then we're going to take the right leg behind us, curling the toes under. Now, the option is to maybe stay like this. This might be enough for you today, or you might want to raise that right leg. Okay. If you do raise the right leg, can you have a sense of extending through the back heel? So kind of enlivening that back leg. And then slowly coming back to center with the right knee. And then we're going to do the same thing on the other side. So this time the left leg comes back, curling the toes under, staying here or lifting and extending the left leg behind us. And feeling that length all the way through the leg into the torso and releasing the left leg down. Okay, so I'm going to do that again and add another option that again is optional. You decide whether it feels right for you. So taking the right leg behind us, curling the toes under, staying here if you want, extending that right leg if it feels good. And if you really feel balanced, you can pick up the left arm and stretch it out, extending it away from you, extending through your fingers, extending through your back heel, and slowly releasing and coming back to where you started on all fours. Okay. And same thing on the other side. So curling the toes under, left leg extends away, extending through the heel. And if you would like to, if you feel balanced, extending away the right arm. So one long diagonal line of energy and replacing the knee and the hand back to the ground, coming into center. And from here, we're going to come into a pose called child's pose. So we're going to sit back on our heels. And here we can do a few adjustments. So if you like, you can take your knees wide apart, okay? And so this allows us to release in the lower back, and you can make your way down, your head down toward the mat, the forehead toward the mat. If this doesn't feel good for you, you can place something under your head. I have a block here. But you don't, if you're practicing at home and you don't have any of these kind of props, you can use a book, you can use a cushion. So you can place something like this under your head. So you're looking for this long line of the spine from the tailbone to the crown of the head. So this is where we really want to elongate our spine here, and this is where all the benefits come from. If you don't have a prop to hand, you can always use your hands as a pillow by coming onto the backs of your hands. You can lower down, or even cupping your hands under your chin. Okay. And if this is a really challenging pose for you, as it is for many, you can just come to kneeling and place your head on a sofa or on a chair, anything that's going to allow you to get this long length in the spine. So we want to create space and a sense of elongation between each of the vertebrae of the spine. So just taking a couple of breaths here. And this is a very useful pose, not just for the spine, but also because it opens up the back of the body. So there's lots of space for the lungs to breathe fully and completely. So we can have a sense of breathing in and filling up the lungs, and then breathing out and emptying out. So breathing in, 2, 3, 4, and softly out, 2, 3, 4. Breathing in and softly out. Breathing in, feeling the lungs filling up and expanding. And then with each out breath, we can just release a little bit more into the ground. So from here, we're just going to create a little movement. So we're going to take the spine into a side bending movement. So lifting your head, removing any props if you're using them, and then taking both arms. So keeping your hips where they are, take your arms over in the direction of the right-hand side. So you might have to adjust your head a little bit. And we want to get this sense of openness in the left-hand side of the body here. So we're opening the left side of the lung, we're opening the left side of the body, but also the rib cage on the left side of the body here. So these poses are an excellent opportunity to create space and openness in the body so we can breathe more deeply and fully. And this has enormous benefit, not just for our body, but also for our nervous system. Okay, so coming back to center here, we're going to move gently over to the left-hand side. So the same thing on the other side, taking care to keep your hips where they are. And just moving the arms over to the left-hand side. Just have to make an adjustment here. Good. And this time we're getting the opening on the right side of the body. Coming back to center. Good. And then pushing through the hands, keeping our chin close to the chest, we're just going to slowly come up, very slowly. Apologies for the background noise. I'm going to slowly come up. And we're going to take a seat. Okay, so I have a yoga bolster. You can use a block if you have one, or a pillow, or a cushion. And you may not need one, but it's an option that lots of people quite like. So you're going to sit cross-legged if you can, and we're going to do a little work on the sides of the body and the chest, and on the neck and the head and the shoulders. Okay, so we're working lots of parts in the upper body. So we're going to begin with the neck, and we're going to bring the chin close to the chest. So we're feeling a stretch in the back of the neck. So I'm going to mirror you. So we're going to then allow the left ear to move toward the left shoulder. So this should be creating a sense of openness and stretch the opposite side, so the right-hand side. Oh, we come all the way around and look up. So having a sense of opening through the chest, even though we're looking up. Now, it might be quite difficult for some of you to look up because the head is very heavy. So you just might want to lift your gaze a little bit. And then we're going to bring the right ear to the right shoulder. And feeling then on the left-hand side, the sense of opening and stretch. And all the way back to center with the chin close to the chest. So I'm going to invite you now to take a few of these rotations, but maybe not moving as slowly as we did to begin with, but equally not moving very quickly. We're just creating a little movement. You might hear a few crackly noises as you move your head round. And again, it's just like putting WD-40 in the joints. We're just oiling the joints, mobilizing the joints. And back to center. Just taking a moment. And then we bring the shoulders up toward the ears and allow them to release down. Inhaling as we lift up. And exhaling as we release down. Inhaling as we lift up. And maybe this time out through the mouth, we can exhale with maybe another one of those if you like. Inhaling, lifting up. And exhaling with breathing out. It's really detoxifying and de-stressing to do that kind of ha breath. Usually in yoga, we breathe in and out through the nose, but on occasion, it can be really, really useful to breathe out through the mouth. Okay, so we're just going to have the hands then on the shoulders and then draw the elbows toward each other. And lifting elbows away, around, and back in again, creating a circle. And one more time, lifting up and away. You might hear a lot of noises as you do that. So we're going to do the same thing again, bringing them back to center and then bringing them around. And releasing. So you can probably feel how we were working the shoulder joint there. That can be really useful if there's a lot of tension. And lots of us are looking at phones, working on computers, and very forward looking. So opening the chest and beginning to release through the shoulders can be very, very beneficial for all of us. I'd like you to take your hands now, fingers pointing towards your neck. And we're going to put the hands on the shoulders, and then we're just going to take one more big circle, but this time focusing very much on the chest. So another one in like that, focusing on this sense of openness through the front and the back of the body. Good. And now we're just going to work through the upper body. So we're just going to take the arms out, lifting up the arms, palms facing up, and stretching up. So the hands can face each other or they can meet each other. Okay, and then as we exhale, we allow them come back down to your sides. Inhaling, lifting, opening your chest again, elongating the spine, back of the neck is long, and exhaling, palms face down, and we're just releasing everything that is unwanted, any anxieties or worries. So we're going to do that one more time. Inhaling, lifting up, Stretching, elongating, opening, and releasing with a... And making our way back to center. And then we're just going to do a gentle twist. So again, I'm going to mirror you. So taking your left hand and placing it on the outside of your right knee. So elongating as you inhale, so spine is long, and then you're just twisting round, almost as if you're bringing your belly button round to face that right knee. And then with your right hand, you can, if it touches the ground behind you, you can take it behind you, or you can just take it into the small of the back. I like to take it into the small of the back. And then you can look over that right shoulder. And then from here, just take your head and bring your head to look over the left shoulder. Getting a counter stretch here. And then slowly unraveling, coming back to center. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So we're this time going to take the right hand on the outside of the left thigh, elongating the body long on the inhalation, and then twisting around as we exhale, bringing the belly button almost toward that left thigh, and then the left hand can come to the sacrum, the small of the back, and you can look over the left shoulder, and then maybe gently taking your gaze over the right shoulder, and then coming back to center. Good. So it's really good for the spine to be taken in lots of different movements. So we're taking the spine laterally from side to side, and then we're twisting it from side to side, which is really good. And we've extended it long as well in various different poses. So this is really healthy for the spine, and the spine really benefits from being moved like this. And of course, the spine houses the central nervous system, which in turn means that it's beneficial for the whole of the body for the spine to be moved. Good. Okay, so from here, we're just going to take the hands behind us. So again, you might want to place them on something. And they're just going to come to behind us, and we're just going to lift up our chest. So we're lifting and opening the chest, and maybe our gaze lifts, maybe the head lifts, but being careful not to hinge the head back, because the head is very heavy and can put a lot of pressure on the neck. So we're lifting the chest, the shoulder blades can come together, the elbows can come together, and we're creating this lovely sense of space and openness in the front of the body. And exhaling as we come back. And that's a sometimes called a heart opener or a slight back bend. Okay, so we're opening through the body here. And so from here, we're just going to make our way up to standing. Okay, so I might just make a little adjustment. So that you can see me a bit more. Good. Okay, so we're going to come to standing in a pose that's called Tadasana, or mountain pose. And that involves, most importantly, having the feet parallel. So we bring the feet parallel. The big toes can be touching, or the feet can be hips width distance apart. Again, whatever suits you. But the most important thing is that the feet are parallel. So it's a bit like building a house. You want very solid foundations for the house. So having your feet parallel means your ankles, knees, and ultimately the hips are all very well supported in the body. Okay, and being supported in the lower part of the body allows us to have this openness and expansion in the upper part of the body. So it's almost like we're rooting down, we're grounding down in order to lift and rise up. Okay, so the nice thing about this mountain pose is a bit like a mountain. There's this sense of connection between the ground and the sky above. So from here, we're just going to inhale and lift our arms like we did when we were seated, lifting all the way up, bringing them together or to face each other, and then releasing them down in a prayer shape. We're going to inhale here, lift the arms up, and then gently allow them to come back to center. Last one. Inhaling, maybe coming up, lifting your heels, coming up to tiptoes. And then exhaling as you release back down. And then we're going to do our side bending here. So we're going to inhale again, lift the arms and bring them into to meet each other. And then we're just going to take them over to the right hand side. So a bit like we did on the ground, we're just going to keep our hips level and keep them where they are and stretch over, opening through the left hand side of the body. Coming back to center and then exhaling as we come over to the left hand side. Okay, again, I'm mirroring you. Back to center and releasing the hands down. And we're going to now move into a twist. So we're just going to ground down through the left foot and take the right foot and come onto the big toe. So we're going to stay here, or we're going to lift it a little bit. And we're just going to gently twist. Now this might be very challenging, so you might need to hold a wall or a chair. You're just going to come around very gently, placing the left hand somewhere on the right leg, and then the right hand can come to the small of the back, or you can use it as a support. And back to center. Now, I appreciate balance is quite challenging. So if you find it very challenging, you can skip this part. So grounding down through the right foot this time, coming onto the big toe of the left foot, maybe lifting the left foot up a little or a lot, depending on what's good for you. And then if you want, it's completely optional, you can twist around toward that bent knee, taking your right hand somewhere on that left leg, and then taking the right hand, sorry, the left hand, and placing it on the small of your back. Okay, wobbling is allowed. Embrace the wobble. Coming back to center and grounding down for a moment or two. Okay, so we're going to come into another balancing pose here. And this is, we've already done a challenging one, so you might find this one a bit easier. We're going to ground down through the left foot and bring the right ankle to the left heel. Okay, so this is stage one. You might want to come to stage two. And there is another option to come much higher up to the inner groin, but we're not going to explore that today. We're just going to stay at either stage one or stage two. So coming into a position that's suitable for you, and then we're just going to bring the hands into prayer. Now the option might be to just take one hand into prayer and the other hand can be used to help balance you, or both in. And not only is this a balancing pose, but it's also a hip opening pose. So you might be able to feel that sense of opening in the left hip. And options here are to extend out the arms, either out to the sides or up. and then coming out as slowly as we came in. So before we go into the other side, I just want to mention something to you about balance. And sometimes it can be very useful to find out the spot that's not moving in your line of vision. And that can really, really help with finding your balance. So clearing your mind, looking at that spot, and then coming into balance. And like I said earlier, if you fall out of balance, that's absolutely fine. That's what, life is a bit like that. We're in balance, we fall out, and we come back in. So this is what we're practicing in our yoga. So grounding down this time through the left foot and bringing the right heel to the left ankle or coming up to the left shin. So deciding what's right for you today. And then bringing your hands together and really grounding down through your left foot. So sending your roots deep into the earth, finding your point that's not moving. This is called the drishti in Sanskrit. And staying like this. This might be enough. Or gently opening the arms out or up. And then lowering. Taking a moment or two here to center. And then replacing both feet and bringing them both to parallel. So before we come back down on the ground to do our relaxation, I would just like you to place your hands on the small of your back. And we're just going to lift the chest, bring the elbows toward each other. Shoulder blades come down the back, lift the chest, and we look up. And then we come back slowly to center, releasing the hands. And we're going to come to lying down to do a cool down pose, a twist, which is good for to release off the lower back. And then we'll do a little relaxation to close. So removing any props. And then coming to lying back down. Bending your knees and opening the soles of the feet into the ground. Pushing through your feet a little bit here. And then lifting your hips and just taking them over to the right-hand side. Just your hips over to the right-hand side, just a little. And then lifting your knees and allowing the knees to come down on the left-hand side. Just want to make sure you can still see me. So your left hand can be used to allow the knees to come down to the ground, toward the ground, or you can spread both arms out. Taking a couple of breaths in here. And then bring the knees back to center. And again, when you're centered, pushing through the feet, lifting the hips and bringing them over to the left-hand side. Drawing the knees toward the chest and then allowing them to gently fall out to the right-hand side, using the right hand to aid the knees on their journey down toward the ground. Now, the option here sometimes for people is to put a pillow or a blanket between the knees or under the lower leg. The arms can extend, palms facing up. And if you like, the head can turn away from the bent knees. Take another breath or two here. And then going all the way back up. And then we're going to prepare for our final relaxation. So I'm going to sit up, but I would like you to stay lying down because I'm going to talk you through the relaxation. So there are a number of options to make this more comfortable for ourselves. We can cover ourselves with a blanket. We come to lying on the backs. We can have our knees bent, or we can stretch out fully. We can place an eye pillow if you have one, or a scarf over the eyes. We can have a cushion under the head. There's lots of different options. So just taking a moment or two. Sometimes we can put a blanket under us as well, because the body gets very cold when we enter more of a state of rest and digest rather than the fight or flight that we're quite often in. And also because we're very still, so we can get cold. So it's a nice idea to have a blanket. It also feels, for me anyway, quite nurturing, and it makes me feel quite cozy. Okay, so settling down into your relaxation position. And just allowing the body to sink into the ground. So noticing how you feel at the end of the practice compared to how you felt at the beginning. So noticing pockets of tension in the body or areas of spaciousness and openness. Noticing the breath, the thoughts, and more of a gap between the thoughts. The mind is always thinking. We never fully turn the mind off, but we can slow down the speed at which the thoughts arise. So just observing what we observe. And for those of you that are completely new to this practice, I'll be doing a body scan. So this is like a rotation of awareness throughout the body. So I will just mention different areas of the body, starting with the feet. And you move your awareness, your attention to that area. And virtually the most important thing you can do in this practice is not to try too hard to relax. So if you find you're very agitated or your mind is busy, or you're very distracted, if you can stay to the end, that's great. And just to observe how you're feeling. Okay, it's always different. And I'm going to ask you now to just bring your awareness to your feet, the soles of the feet, and allow them to relax and let go. The ankle joints that we've been working on, we mobilize them, and then we stood on them in our standing balances. So allowing the ankles to relax, the lower legs, the knees, the thighs, allowing the legs to completely relax and to feel and to be heavy. So the thigh bones are the heaviest bones in the body. So we want them to really begin to anchor down. So we release through the hips on the left and the right hand side. And almost creating space in the pelvis, as if the left and the right hip are moving away from each other, creating this sense of space and openness. The front column of the spine. The tummy is soft. And the chest feels open and wide and expansive. The collarbones are wide. And this allows the shoulder blades to just drop and release down the back. The back of the body can fully relax and release into the ground. The spine feels long from tailbone to crown of head, and all the muscles around the spine can soften and loosen. The arms can relax, the upper arms, the elbows, and the lower arms. And the bones of the arms are heavy and sink into the ground. The wrists are soft, palms of the hands are soft, the fingers. The hands are often known as messengers of the heart. So we can allow the hands to have the qualities we associate with our hearts. Softness, receptivity, openness, gentleness. Whole body is beginning to relax fully and deeply. The back of the neck feels long. Sides of the neck feel soft. And the front of the throat softens and releases. The back of the head releases into the ground. Forehead is smooth. Space between the eyebrows releases. All the muscles around the eyes release. And the eyeballs sink deeply into the skull. The inner nostrils and inner ears release. Even the temples at the sides of the forehead can release and let go. The skin across the cheekbone softens as we begin to close and relax all of the sense organs. And now the mouth, the muscles around the mouth release. Upper lip and lower lip release and let go. Upper row of teeth and lower row of teeth can release and they can also let go. Roof of the mouth, soft palate, the tongue and the root of the tongue. Soften, release, and let go. The face is beginning to fully relax. Breathing in, I feel calm. Breathing out, I feel relaxed. Breathing in, I feel at ease. Breathing out, I feel safe. In, calm. Out, relaxed. In, at ease. And out, safe. Bringing to mind any intention you had at the beginning of the class. Any quality you want to invite into your life. something that would allow you to live your life with more ease. You can stay here for a little longer if you like. And when you're ready to move, you can just gently create movement in fingers and toes to wake the body up. Deepen the breathing. Roll over to one side and slowly make your way to seated. Thank you for joining me in this practice.